Trade Hunter here from Steady Trades. I want to talk to you a little bit about the basics to fundamental trading. So let's just jump right into it. What do we consider? I have five main things I like to consider. There's more that you can consider, but these are some of the most crucial things that I would consider. Number one, I think is pretty obvious. Financial data. Financial data, you can absorb as much of it or as little as you want. It's just going to tell the overall story about how the company is performing and how you think they might perform coming up in the future. Some things we might want to consider: revenue, operating income, net income, earnings per share, which is how much money they made per each share of the stock, possibly operating cash flow, which is the revenue minus the expenses, right? So these are some of the things that tell us how the company is performing currently. We want to see a high earnings per share possible. We want to see a high net income. We want to see high revenue, obviously. So those are some of the things I like to consider. Beyond that, next thing we want to look at, all the press releases that come out, right? Press releases, this is where we have to pay attention, right, to the news that the company puts out. This could be something that changes the trend of whatever stock you're looking at. Anything from acquisitions to stock splits to news about offerings, anything newsworthy is put out in a press release by these companies and can change the public opinion about the stock, can change the trend, right? For example, Microsoft Cloud strength drives fourth quarter results. Obviously, people might consider that Microsoft Cloud is a growing service, and that could change the trend if they were in a negative trend before. Say, going forward, this Microsoft Cloud is going to support the growth of Microsoft, right? So another thing we might want to consider: earnings announcements. We always want to look at earnings announcements because here's what they can do to a stock. Right here was Microsoft's earnings as of the 27th of July, right? And it caused the stock to rise quite a bit overnight, right? And then since then, the trend has kind of shifted to an upwards trend, right? It was in a downward sloping trend coming up to earnings, and then it broke out, and now it's in an upwards trend. So earnings can cause big gaps in the stock, and they can lead to a trend shift, right? Next, we want to consider what analysts have to say, and we want to look at their upgrades and their downgrades overall. So here's the analyst rating for Microsoft currently. Some of them, most of them have maintained their ratings, right? There hasn't been anything that changed, but most people put a buy signal on it, right? There's no downgrades really as of recently. They're just maintaining their current targets. But analysts upgrading or downgrading their opinion of a stock can have a huge effect on the price action. So pay attention to that. The other thing we want to consider, right? Future value. Future value is new tech, new ideas, things that will continue to allow the stock to grow or to slow its growth. So we always have to be looking at what is going to drive it in the future, right? So those are the five things I like to consider, right? Financial data. I like to look at the press releases. I like to look at the earnings announcements, right? I like to look at what analysts have to say. And I like to try to find what I believe to be future value for the company, what is going to support its growth or slow it. And as always, guys, if you need anything, reach out to us at Steady Trades anytime. Happy trading.